Last time someone asked a Trump question and I skipped it. So if you're the person that asked the Trump question that I skipped, it's because I don't want to put the people coming in for the first chat or two on the spot. They haven't figured out what they're comfortable saying, what they're not comfortable saying. I'll say anything, you know that. I don't give a but because I don't care if you like me. I am a grown-ass man. Hey, everybody, welcome to the No FUDD Zone. This is just the second time we've been trying this. It's where some of my regular viewers or new viewers join me in the chat so they can express their opinions too. So feel free to ask questions, whatever topic you want. It's an open chat. Don't get too crazy with the questions right now. These are newcomers. We don't want them to alienate everyone by asking them, like, oh, don't you love Donald Trump? Because let's let people get their footing before they start making enemies or friends, whichever way it would be like half one, half the other. But welcome. We're going to start answering some of the questions we got coming in here and see what everybody weighs in. Let's see here what we got coming in. Trading Con David said, how better is the CZ Shadow compared to the CZ75 SP01? I have the SP01 and have the funds for the Shadow. Having owned both those guns, I'll weigh in first here. The CZ Shadow 2 is light years ahead of the SP101 as far as how smooth and light the trigger is, how well fit it is, etc. The SP101 is made to be a carry gun. The CZ Shadow 2 was made to be a competition gun and then refined to where it could be a carry gun. But at heart, it's still a competition gun. Does anybody else have those guns or have an opinion on them?
No, I would defer to what you're saying.
Yeah, I have the PCR CZ75. It's nice. I've got to assume that Shadow is a lot better though.
Yeah, the PCR, that's a nicer than just the regular SP101, but it's still not into Shadow territory. You have to actually kind of experience the Shadow. It's kind of like how the one they have, I forget what they call it. I always call it the Tacticool Orange. It's like the Tactical 40 or whatever they call it. That thing is such a nice gun and such a shooter's gun and with such a light trigger that I won't shoot it because it scares the holy shit out of me. I mean, the trigger's like breathing on glass. It's just incredible. My stepdad, when he was alive, that was his favorite gun to shoot, but it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Jacoby said, if you all could carry any single stack 6-shot 9mm magazine fed firearm, what would it be? Springfield 911, Glock 43, Sig 238. I need a summer one. So I guess he's asking about single shot 9mm. He wants something easy you can conceal for summer. What would we recommend? You all can start. Let's start here with Welper. What would you recommend, Welper?
What are the cars? Are those 7-shot? Does that count?
I think it depends on which model you get and which caliber. Well, he's wanting 9mm, but even I guess it would depend what model you got because they got everything from the shorties to the bigger ones. But yeah, car would be a good choice. The trigger's amazing on those. How about Gummy Wuzzle?
I have one of the original Smith & Wesson Shields, and I've never had an issue concealing it, shooting it. I like it.
Yeah, most people do. I'm not a M&P or Shield fan, but I don't ever degrade them. I don't ever talk them down. When people say, "Oh, you talk them down all the time," I'm like, no, I just say I personally don't care for them. I always say they're great. That's not the same thing as deriding them. They're not for me. How about Scorch?
I like the Ruger LC9.
Oh, yeah. That's one a lot of people don't think of, I don't think, when they...
Yeah, I've carried one, and my friend's dad has one, and he's sworn by it, for umpteen years. That's, his main EDC. It gets the job done in a single stack.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't think of those. And I like the Rugers. I think I would probably be boring, and if I had to choose something like that, which is definitely not my type of gun, probably be the Sig P365. That would count, right? And I think I would choose that because it's modular.
Well, is it a single stack?
Yeah, isn't it a single stack, or is it a double stack?
I thought it was what they call a stack and a half.
Stack, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many rounds does it hold, though?
like 12
10,
at
10 or
least.
12.
And that wouldn't count. See, I don't know very much about those, so that wouldn't count. So I'm probably going to copy Welper and say a car. The little car polymer guns are just awesome, and they got amazing triggers. I would still be happy with it because it had that trigger. But I don't know.
I'm curious about that SIG 238 though. I'm not afraid of SIGs like a lot of channels are.
I have a 238, and it's a great little gun, but it's not 9mm. It'll be the 938 would be the 9mm. So that's a good option too. A 938. It's not going to be as light, but be an awesome gun. But I think I'd go with the car, even though I don't know. There's not a whole lot of little 9mm. I mean, I guess if I could get an old roar ball. Remember the roar balls that were 9mm instead of the 380 like the Remingtons, and they're hammer fired and everything. I think I'd go with a roar ball, but finding one would be hard. Let's see here. John Bologna Jr. said, YouTube unsubscribe me again. They truly hate people like us. P's and B's. The PayPal link won't work for me tonight. Oh, well, that sucks. I don't know why it's not working for him. I hope it's working for other people. We definitely need questions. Let's go over here and see if we got any questions coming in. But yes, they unsubscribe people from my channel daily. That's why I end up with the same number of subs every day. If I get 100, they take 100. If I only get 20, they take 20. If I get 35, they take 35. And there's no way that's them sending a message that they control your channel completely. Let me get over here to the questions, see if anything's coming in over here. We got Johnny Mandrick chiming in, who doesn't know how to use his microphone. Has anyone seen a CZ Shadow 2 carry in the wild? I'm looking forward to one. I have not seen one in the wild. I've got people sending me links to ones that are in like their local gun shop. They'll send me pictures or send me a link to a store that has one. But me seeing them personally, I haven't. But I don't know if I've left the house since they were announced, to be honest. I don't think I have. So it might be a while before I see one in the wild. Well, I'm going down Tuesday to mail the rock to the winner of the rock. So maybe I'll see one then. I'm going to add one over to the stage here. Here we go. Is it working? Or can I hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. But no, has anybody else seen one in person yet?
I'm going to my local gun shop tomorrow to see if I find one.
Yeah, I haven't seen one yet. When I see one, I will put it on layaway. I mean, that's the most I can do right now. I got to pay my credit card off or I can get another gun, so it'll be on layaway. Let's see here. After John and Mandrick, we got Christopher Jones chiming in here, and he said, "Isn't it funny that since the whole P320 debacle, there are now channels saying SIG was always poor quality?" Well, there's always people who jump on bandwagons. You know, that's the only thing they can do because they don't really have anything else to say. They don't have a lot of knowledge.
You know, I thought it was funny. There's a particular channel. I don't know if I should say the name or not, but you know, I've seen lots of channels go, "Oh well, this is bad. This is whatever." But you know, there was this one particular guy is like, "Oh, I've always known this." I'm like,
Yeah.
Really?
You've never known anything because it's all garbage. I love how they make these extraordinary claims that there's a gun that's firing when the trigger's not activated. It's just going off on its own, which would require some pretty extraordinary evidence. And then they never have any evidence. So it's like, oh, you didn't see the one where yeah, I did see that. And it's very clear that his gun wasn't even fully in his holster. And then when you read the action report from afterwards, he admits that he had pulled his gun, partially reholstered it, and then when it fully reholstered, it went off. So they don't bother to do any research and they don't demand any evidence. When you are trying to prove extraordinary claims, you have to provide extraordinary evidence. And when you're having those extraordinary claims made to you, if you choose to believe it with no evidence, then that says something about you.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because the Canadian military admits that they were stuffing the 320s into holsters designed for the 226s.
So were some
misfires.
So were some sky marshals that had the same thing happen. They're like, "Oh yeah, we were putting it in a locking holster that has an opening that goes through the trigger guard, and it's actually made for another gun, and it was hitting the triggers.
Yeah, I wonder how.
But people don't bother to learn that information. And the only reason that it's happening a lot is because this is the gun cops carry. And it's not even happening a lot. It's rare, and it's only happening with cops, and it's always under dubious circumstances. But people want to pretend like, well, that's good enough proof for me because I wanted to hate SIG anyway because they took all Glock's contracts. Yeah. That's what most of the thing is. It's SIG P320 has supplanted the Glock, and that has pissed off a lot of tactitards. And they're willing to do, say, or believe whatever that they think might bring Glock back into favor. Who's this here? Richard Wilson said, do y'all think car handgun quality is as good as they used to be? Well, I haven't owned one recently, but I haven't seen any like problems with them. Anybody else own newer ones or current ones? I haven't had one for a while.
My friends own some. They have no complaints whatsoever. In fact, they like the triggers. I've only ever heard great things about car triggers.
Yeah, their triggers are great. The frames are kind of lackluster. They're not like super fancy or got a lot of, cool shapes or anything like that. They're just simple, basic polymer frames, but they function really nicely. So, and that trigger is just the best trigger in a striker fired gun you'll ever shoot. If you've never shot one before, you really can't understand. Jacoby said, can I be a man and show my face here? Well, yes, everybody here can show their face. Unless you're incredibly ugly, and then we just ask you to keep the room dark.
I didn't want to show my face here, but here I am.
I mean, I turned mine on, and my days of looking good are past. I don't even bother to.
Yeah, but we're used to looking at you.
I hardly shave or shower, so. And people are starting to notice. Let's see here. Where were we at over here? John and Mandrick chimed in again, which is what confused me earlier. What is the most expensive carry gun you would carry? Oh, well, let you all answer that first. Let's start with Welper.
The most expensive?
Yeah, that you actually carry, that you would carry.
I mean, probably my P220's got to be one of my most expensive guns, but it's a P220 Elite.
No, those ain't cheap. I got one right there. It ain't cheap. How about Scorch?
I'd say a Frontier Arms 454 Casull. I would carry it, even though if I broke it, I'd be really upset with myself.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a gun seized, and it wasn't a cheap gun. And you know what? I still don't regret carrying it. People always act like, oh, if they take a gun that's expensive, you're going to regret it. I'm like, not really, because I know that under circumstances, if I would have needed to use it, I would have wanted that gun there for me to be able to use. I just didn't want someone else to be able to use it. How about Gummy Wuzzle?
Okay, well, so you want to look at the Harlequin?
I'm getting ready to purchase a Taurus. Well, I'm going to try to lay away a Taurus 692. That would probably be the most expensive gun I've carried.
I'm going to call bullshit on someone who's got a grand piano in the background of their video.
Yeah, I confess I don't actually have a grand piano.
Oh, is that a background or something?
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I don't want you to see my house.
It just looked to me like you're sitting in a fucking mansion doing a chat here.
It took all the courage I had just to show you me. I'm not showing you my house.
I'd rather just seen the house.
Sure you would have.
Hey, is that everybody? Rusty, you haven't weighed in yet.
Ooh.
Is he there?
I don't think so.
I don't think
there's only 4 of us.
Yeah, where did he go?
Maybe Rusty left. Oh.
I did see him drop. Okay, there he is.
There I am.
Okay.
Well, I'm in the process of trying to get a Chiappa Rhino. If I get it, that'll be the one I will carry.
Got wrist problems or arthritis?
I just like the way they shoot.
Well, they shoot really nice, and they're kind of cool looking, like especially if you like sci-fi, etc. Let's see over here. What do we got else coming in questions wise here? We got Well, I just read that. That was John Bush, wasn't it? Did I read that? No. How often do you need to go to the range to stay proficient, get better, or be a mental case? Is there an upper limit? Should cost be important? What tactical situations can you really practice? Oh, that's actually kind of a difficult question because you can practice anything. Whether it will really tell you how you're going to react in an actual situation where you're in danger, it's not so true. I mean, because I've practiced lots of things. I've also been shot at. I've been in combat. And I can tell you, I didn't react the way I thought I would. And I didn't, immediately it didn't register to me even at first that I was in combat. It wasn't meant to be in combat. It was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So you really can't train for what that's going to feel like, because I barely remember shooting my gun, and I emptied my Beretta. I mean, I emptied it, both magazines, and barely remember shooting it. I definitely didn't be like, oh, this trigger's heavy or my finger's getting tired. None of that, because I was so jacked on adrenaline that I just zipped through it without hardly even knowing I was doing it. So you can't really train for that. But you can practice and try to develop as many reflexes as you can. But that doesn't mean that this up here is going to make your muscles. Because people talk about things like muscle memory. There is no such thing as muscle memory. There's practiced habits, but it's all still mentally driven. Your brain has to know what to tell your arm to do because it's done it repeatedly. And if something like fear or stress interferes with your brain telling your hand what to do, it doesn't matter if you've done it a million times before. The first time you deal with stress is going to show you that it isn't like your practice was.
That's just like in one of my favorite movies. He said he was trained for combat. When he started shooting at him, he starts running around saying they're shooting. He says, I was trained for it. I was never in it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something
I know that movie.
I don't know what movie that is. I don't watch a lot of movies, as most people.
I'm going to get you, sucker.
Oh, no, I don't think I've ever seen it. But yeah, even in the military, they know that we can train you to death. And that's one of the reasons people say, like, why isn't basic training longer, especially in wartime, etc. And it's because you can only train someone for so much stuff. Until they're actually in it, you're not going to know if they're going to be good at it or not. And about a third of the people you throw in it might not come out of it because they're not going to be suited for it. And the other people, they're going to learn there and then. And it's going to be, you give each one of them the same amount of training. Some people will be able to, under stress, still have their brain tell their body to do what they remember doing. Some people won't, and some people will be really good at it. So, it's going to be the gamut. And more training doesn't really change that number out in the field. They've done tons of studies. Like if you train 100 soldiers for 6 weeks, put them in the field, well, 70% of them do well, 20% of them do exceptionally, and 10% of them die. But if you train them for 50 weeks instead of 6, you put them in the field, 70% of them do well, 20% of them do exceptional, and 10% of them die. So it doesn't really change that in number in the long run, because until you're actually in it, you don't really know what you're training for. And that's just proven fact. Military's known that for decades, but a lot of tactical trainers will try to tell you different because they want to sell you a product.
Yeah.
Highest purchase price or highest value? Oh, I think they were clarifying that question. What's the most expensive gun you've ever bought? I guess we could ask that way. Who just left again?
Man. Me, I'd say a Henry rifle.
Henry rifle. Those are nice rifles.
Yeah, it was a pretty penny.
Rusty, what's your most expensive gun you've ever bought that you carried? Well, I should say that you carried, but is he still here? I don't think he can get the hang of this. I think he's having trouble. Remember how I said about 10% of the people die?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
It's James Jagger, everyone.
Thought we needed to say his name 3 times to come.
James Jagger's love child here in the chat. So let's move on to the next question, because I don't know about you. Let's see, what do we got over here? But we never did answer his question. How often do you think you need to go to the range to stay in practice?
I'd say twice a year for me.
Yeah. How about?
Yeah, that's about right. That's not what I do.
3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times a what? What'd you say, Rusty?
3 or 4 times a year. I mean, it's like riding a bike.
It is. It's very much like riding a bike. A lot of people don't think that. They think as soon as you stop shooting for a couple of days, you get all rusty. Guns aren't that difficult. Just like riding a bike's not that difficult. They're simple. They're simple tools. Now, if you want to like ingrain yourself to what am I going to do in every one of the 150 scenarios that are in the scenario program at the local training center, well, that's different. You know, you're probably going to go a lot till you learn all of them. And if you stop going, you'll probably forget. Like I used to be able to roll a Pac-Man machine because I had memorized the patterns, and I had to keep doing that. You know, if I wanted to be able to keep rolling Pac-Man machines, I'd have to be able to keep doing that. But I didn't play Pac-Man for a couple of years, and I go back now and I'm like, I don't know any of the patterns anymore. So that's one thing. If you want to be able to memorize all these preset patterns, but if you just want to keep your basics, you know, from getting too rusty, I mean, I would maybe say once every 2 months, but you know, that's me to keep myself from getting too lazy. But it doesn't have to be every day. A lot of people seem to think it's got to be every day, every week, and that's why. But if you want to really hone something, like you've learned something new, you went to a training course. Well, then I say go out at least once a week after that for months and repractice with what you learned until it becomes part of your arsenal, that it's in, you know, your abilities now. But, you know, once you get the abilities, it doesn't really take that much shooting to keep them.
No.
And
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, along those lines, have you heard of what the FBI calls the 3-3-3 rule? It means that the majority of all defensive shootings happen at 3 meters or 10 feet, 3 shots fired, and it's 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. Now, with that in mind, how much training how often would you need to train if, realistically speaking, you're only likely to, you know, have those parameters?
Yep. And that's, I think those numbers are a little bit skewed because they take into account all shootings, and a lot of shootings are interpersonal. Mm-hmm. You know, like you're going up to someone and shooting them in the stomach because you want to kill your ex-wife's boyfriend, or you go to your wife's work and you put a gun in the back of her head, shoot her. So they figure all that stuff in. So I don't know how accurate that is on the 10 feet thing is what, you know, gets me more than anything else. I agree that, you know, it's very usually not a lot of rounds shot in other stuff. Like when you start taking gang warfare into account, that's different. Yeah. But I always think those numbers are a little skewed, but they're kind of a good starting point for stuff.
Yeah, because they're saying defensive, meaning in most cases it would be a lawful shooting. Yeah. If it's defensive. And if that's the case, if you're using a gun lawfully in a defensive situation, what they're saying is 90% of the time it will be within 10 feet, 3 shots fired on the average within 3 seconds time.
Yeah, and like I said, I still think it's
majority of all
because,
defensive shootings.
Yeah. But yeah, and plus most of defensive shooting and most of self-defense is mental. It's knowing how to avoid problems. It's knowing how to deal with problems before they become a gun battle. It's knowing how to de-escalate things, and it's knowing when to leave and not letting your ego cause problems. Yeah. So if you master those things, well, then train all you want. You probably won't ever have to worry about it. But if you're doing all you're doing is training, like those guys that do I'm going to stand here 5 feet from something, and then I'm going to yank my gun out of my waist and fire 4 times and slam it back, and then yank it back out and fire 4 more times and slam it back. That's the stupidest shit I've ever seen, because then that just teaches your mind to think that every situation that's a danger is a draw fast and fire situation, when 99% of them aren't going to be. Yeah. Not only are you putting yourself at physical risk doing that training, but it's training for situations that hardly ever exist. And it's putting you in the wrong mindset to be a truly defensive shooter. It's making you.
I think 3-gun trains you better than that stupid stuff.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too.
I'm kind of in the mindset, if you're carrying a gun, that you're more likely to stay out of trouble.
I know I do. When I carry a gun, I avoid things. I'll walk across the street. You know, I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm like, I got a gun. I'm avoiding that group of unsavory looking people there standing outside the strip club or whatever. I'm walking around them. Where if I'm not carrying, I'm like, I got to prove I ain't afraid of them. I'm going to walk right through them. got to, because I don't have that means to defend myself. So I got to present an air of someone who can defend themselves. And I got that means on my hip to do it. I don't care what they think. I just walk around them.
Yeah. And see, I live in Florida, which is a stand your ground state, but I have actually run from people while I'm armed, concealed carry. I've run away from them knowing that if they catch me, then I'm on solid legal ground to use my weapon defensively because I fled. I was attempting to avoid the conflict at all costs.
Who here is going to call shenanigans on Scorch running?
I'm in better shape than I look.
I would hope so. The fact you're talking tells us that. Let's get back over here to the questions. Whoops. Why is it giving me that warning? It's giving me some weird message on PayPal here that I can't get into my messages. All right, here we go. John Mandrick chimed in again and said, did my two questions? Yes, they came through. He was saying that because I was before saying John Mandrick's the only one weighed in, but because he was weighing in multiple times. We got another question here. What's the best length for a revolver for overall use? Okay to make chat topic for a different day. Well, yeah, you can. We can use that as a chat topic for one of our shooting the shits. But I think everybody knows what I think. I think 4 inches is the best overall revolver length. But if you're going to carry it, I think 3 inches better, sometimes 2.5 inch, because it just makes life easier. Anybody else?
I think
I wouldn't go longer than 4 inch.
You like longer than 4 inch?
I would not go longer than 4 inch.
Okay. I thought he was saying I like longer than 4 inch.
I think a 3-inch revolver is a good utilitarian length. It's good for shooting and it's good to carry.
Yeah, 3 inches, I think, like that sweet spot. That's why I threw such a fit about Chiappa never made a 3-inch revolver. They only made a 2 and a 4. And I begged and pleaded and screamed and cried for years. And they finally contacted me and said, listen, if you promise to shut the fuck up, we'll make a 3-inch revolver. And they did. And I've got a couple of them because I think 3 inches is just the sweet spot. I tell everybody I've ever slept with that 3 inches is the perfect length. Anything more is just showing off.
So you're the one that got Chiappa to change. Okay.
I got them to make the 3-inch revolver. Yeah, that was.
I'm looking at a 3-inch Chiappa. That's the rhino I'm looking at.
Yeah, they made that specific. They actually contacted me. What's her name? I'm forgetting her first name now. The Chiappa daughter, the daughter who runs the company now, she sent me an email saying, if you'll shut the fuck up, we'll make a 3-inch Chiappa. Because back then, people actually watched me and listened to what I said. It's not like nowadays where I've pissed off YouTube and nobody watches me.
Well, as long as you get an invitation to SHOT Show, that means you've got some kind of presence in the gun community.
I can still go to SHOT Show because I still got my subs. And that's all they look at is your sub count. Even if they look at that, they don't even really look at that. I think they just look that you have a channel if they do that. But I can still go to SHOT Show if I want to. I haven't gone for a couple of years because I'm just like, I don't usually have the money to spare at the time. And I don't want to get deathly ill. Every time I go, I get deathly ill.
Yeah, it's that Harry Reid Airport. It's got all kinds of weirdos hanging out there.
Well, it's also just SHOT Show because I got COVID before people knew what COVID was. That's why, and we found that out when they announced what COVID was and started having problems with COVID and they were starting to do the lockdowns. They asked people to get tested for the antibodies. I got tested for the antibodies and I had them because when I got really sick coming back from SHOT Show where I passed out on the plane and had to go to the emergency room right after I got there, that was COVID because I had been in a big auditorium with 20,000 Chinese people.
Oh,
because SHOT Show has got a heavy Chinese contingency that comes to it because, they come and they take photographs of the guns from every angle and they go recreate airsoft guns of them. So a lot of Chinese people there and a lot of people that year got sick and a lot of us were some of the first cases of COVID in America because, well, not the first ones, but some of the right when they were finding out about it because it was rampant at SHOT Show that year. It was rampant in Vegas, period. And that was what I had when I came back and I was so sick.
Yeah.
And even when I don't get COVID, like the time before that, I got food poisoning. The time after that, I got like the flu or something. It made me nauseous as hell. It's just, it's like there's so many people running around, and they're all questionable. A lot of them. You know, I don't think Vegas attracts, you know, the highest cream of the crop people.
Take the flu shot before you go next time.
Do what?
Take the flu shot before you go next time.
I don't know if that does any good or not. It's just there. It's so concentrated. You know, it's like, you know, putting on one of those mesh metal shark suits and then jumping straight in the mouth of a great white. You know, you're still going to die because you chose to do something stupid. So I just don't like going to Vegas. When I go, all I do is I go to the show. I stop at the McDonald's on the way back to my hotel room, and then I go to my hotel room and I stay there until I go to the show the next morning and repeat the process. I don't go anywhere other than my hotel and the show. I will occasionally sometimes meet up with G-Webs and them for dinner out somewhere, but then I get abused by the waitresses, so I don't even like to do that anymore than I have to. I pretended like she didn't know what sweet chili sauce was. I asked for it like 10 times. She's like, well, I don't have a clue what you're fucking talking about. Asian lady. And then not G-Webs, but Thumbs, he gets his food. It comes with sweet chili sauce. And I asked the waitress, what's this? She said, oh, that's sweet chili sauce. And I'm like, I asked you 10 times for that. Oh, is that what you want? Sweet chili? I'm like, she was obviously just giving me fucking trouble or didn't want to get me sweet chili sauce. So let's see, where are we at here? And when you go, you get Kofu. Yeah, I do. I get bad thing. My guess is it was McDonald's fault for the sickness. No, I like McDonald's sometimes. I like sometimes to just stop at McDonald's. I like to stop there for breakfast because I like the bacon, egg, cheese, biscuits, and the egg McMuffins.
Yep.
And I like to stop there in the evenings, leaving from SHOT Show, because it's the one place in Vegas that isn't expensive. Mm-hmm. And I always get a plain quarter pounder with cheese, nothing on it but meat and cheese, and a 10-piece chicken nugget and a large fry, sometimes 2 large fries. So I like stopping at McDonald's every great once in a while. I like to slum it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't have y'all introduce yourselves today before we started. It's because I don't know what I'm fucking doing. I want everybody to introduce themselves now before we leave.
All right, I'm Scorch 1028. I start a lot of problems.
Not at the same time. Not at the same time.
All right,
let's Scorch go first.
We'll go. Okay, I'm Scorch 1028. I've kind of been a rabble rouser here, not intentionally, but nonetheless, that's kind of how I've been perceived. But I mean, well,
he's trying to blame it on us. Rusty.
Well, like you said, my name's Rusty. I've been a fan of yours for years, and just like watching you and listening to you, and thought I'd like to hop in and talk on the roundtable.
And we'll get better at this eventually, where we have a flow when people come and go. You know, it takes a while for people to get used to it. You should have seen our early chats with Never Enough Ammo and stuff. It was mostly people just talking over each other. Gummy Wuzzle. Oops.
I'm Gummy Wuzzle. I've been a Yankee fan since.
Don't say fan. Say follower.
Oh, I'm a follower.
Yeah, viewer, follower. I don't like the word fan.
Yeah. Since Guns Good for a Bear. It's been that long.
Oh, that's been a long time ago. That's one of the ones where I didn't even do screens at the beginning. You know, I didn't even do like title cards. I just whatever was there.
And I'm also a bit left of center, so that one of the reasons why I am a regular viewer, follower of your channel.
Yeah, well, most of the people who watch my channel aren't. That's why they get mad at me every time I say something about Trump and they leave. Even when it's not something bad. When it's just like, hey, he said he would do this. We need to start getting him to do this. And then they're like, how dare you want him to do what he said he was going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. My local gun shows have all this pro-Trump stuff, and it's like, do you realize he's not even as pro-2A as you think he is?
He's not pro-2A at all from his past actions. That's why he's got to prove it to us now.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
To take them, then process them.
Yeah, exactly. take the guns first, give them due process later. All right, now we just got Welper. We haven't heard him much tonight.
Well, you guys all know me. I've been here every day.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good thing?
Probably not.
Yeah. Welper's kind of like the unofficial secretary.
I'm the janitor.
It puts the messages in, like buy shirts, you worthless losers, pay your tithe to Phil, piece of shits, things like that. He doesn't say the worthless losers are a piece of shit, but he does need to start doing that. I've always found the only thing that works is shaming people into being involved. But I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I appreciate it now that we know who everybody is. Like I said, this will get better as we go, but we'll get used to it. Hopefully we'll get regulars that come and go. You don't have to be here every time we do it. Just be one of the 7 or 8 people that I know I can count on, that at least 3 of them show up every time, and then we'll get into a rhythm. But we'll try to do this more often so I don't have to talk all the time. But thanks everyone for coming. I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate that as well. We'll see you again next time we do this. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again. Now everybody waves and says goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.